Every single moment you spend focusing on what others are doing, what others have, what others think of you, is a moment stolen from your power to create the life you desire. What I am about to share with you will end that theft forever. My name is Neville Goddard, and for over 40 years I have taught one fundamental truth that most people resist with every fiber of their being. The world you see around you is nothing but the external projection of your internal state of consciousness. Everything, and I mean everything that appears in your life, is the direct result of where you place your attention and what you assume to be true about yourself. But here is what breaks my heart. I watch person after person waste their precious life force worrying about what their neighbor is doing, what their government is planning, what their family thinks of them, what their co-workers are saying behind their back. They exhaust themselves trying to change, fix, or control the external world while completely ignoring the only place where true power resides within their own consciousness. Tonight, I will show you why focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is the only path to true creation. I will reveal why every moment you spend attending to external concerns is a moment you rob from your ability to manifest your desires. You have been scattering your creative energy in 1,000 directions. Tonight, you learn to gather it into one focused beam of conscious creation. But I must warn you, once you truly grasp this principle, once you begin to withdraw your attention from the external drama and focus it on your inner world, you cannot return to being the person who seeks validation, approval, or change from outside yourself. That person must die tonight for the true creator within you to be born. Listen carefully, for what I'm about to reveal is the root of all human suffering and struggle. You have been deceived into believing that your happiness, your success, your very worth depends on external circumstances, on what others do, say, think, or provide. This is the great lie that keeps humanity in bondage. Every time you focus on what your spouse is not giving you, what your boss is not recognizing in you, what the world is not providing for you, you are giving away your creative power. You are essentially saying to the universe, I am not the creator of my experience. Someone else must change for me to be happy. But here is the truth that will set you free. There is no one to change but yourself. The moment you understand that your external world is nothing but the shadow cast by your internal assumptions, that moment you stop being a victim and become a conscious creator. But this requires something most people are terrified to do. You must turn your back on the external world and focus exclusively on your inner world. I do not mean ignore your responsibilities or isolate yourself from others. I mean withdraw your emotional investment from external outcomes and place it entirely on your internal state. The first place to start is to comment below, my inner world creates my outer world. This declaration begins to shift your consciousness from external dependency to internal mastery. When you publicly acknowledge that your inner state creates your outer experience, you begin to take responsibility for your creative power. Here is the fundamental law that governs all creation. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Your attention is your most precious resource. It is the creative force through which your consciousness shapes reality. Yet most people treat it like garbage, scattering it randomly across 1,000 meaningless concerns. Think about yesterday. How much of your mental energy did you spend thinking about what others were doing wrong, what the news was reporting, what someone said that offended you, what you lacked that others seem to have, what might go wrong in the future? Every single moment of attention given to these external concerns was a moment stolen from your power to create. Your attention is like water. Scattered, it has no force. But focus into a narrow stream, it can cut through solid rock. When you focus your attention on your inner world, on who you are becoming, what you are assuming, what you are feeling into reality, you harness the full creative power of consciousness. But when you scatter your attention across external dramas, you dilute your creative force until it becomes powerless to manifest your desires. This is why I say, stop wasting your precious life. Every moment spent focused on external circumstances is a moment you could have used to create your desires. Let me share with you a documented case that proves this principle beyond doubt. A woman I'll call J.R.B. and her husband were looking for their dream home. They had very specific requirements. An older English-style home with 2 separate living rooms, separate apartments, a library, built on a flat knoll with space for large dogs, wood paneling throughout, a huge fireplace, magnificent view, and complete seclusion. When they told real estate agents what they wanted and the price they were willing to pay, every single agent told them they were mad. It was impossible, they said. But instead of focusing on what the agents were telling them, the external limitation, the impossibility, the evidence against their dream, J.R.B. focused entirely on her inner world. Here is what she did in her own words. I knew there was such a house because my imagination had been sleeping in it. And if I am my imagination, then I had been sleeping in it. When they finally found a property that matched their vision perfectly, there was one major obstacle. It sat on 2 acres, but they only wanted 1 acre, and the price they offered. All the agents said the old lady wouldn't split the property. But that night, instead of focusing on the external obstacle, the owner's supposed unwillingness to split the property, J.R.B. focused entirely on her inner vision. In my imagination, I stood on that dining room balcony and looked down at my husband standing by the fireplace. He looked up at me and said, "Well, honey, how do you like our new home?" I said, "I love it." I continued to see that beautiful room and my husband in it and felt the balcony railing gripped in my hands until I fell asleep. She focused on herself, on her own inner experience, her own assumption, her own feeling of already living in that home. The result? The next day, while having dinner at her mother's house, the telephone rang. The agent, in an unbelieving voice, informed them that they had just purchased the house. The owner had split the property right down the middle, giving them the house and the acre it stood on for exactly the price they had offered. This is the power of focused attention. This is what happens when you stop wasting your precious life on external concerns and direct your full creative force inward. Now, I must share with you the deepest truth of existence, one that will fundamentally alter how you see reality itself. There is no external world independent of your consciousness. What you call the external world is nothing but the hardened reflection of your internal assumptions, beliefs, and states of consciousness. The person who cut you off in traffic, the boss who doesn't appreciate you, the bills that keep coming, the love that seems to elude you, all of it, without exception, is the externalization of something within your own consciousness. This means that every moment you spend trying to change external circumstances without first changing your internal state is wasted effort. You cannot change the reflection by attacking the mirror. You must change what stands before the mirror. When you focus on yourself, on your inner assumptions, your inner feeling, your inner state, you change the very foundation from which your external experience springs. Let me share another documented case that illustrates this principle perfectly. A woman I'll call R.O. returned from a European vacation to discover her maid had disappeared along with all her furniture. The maid had told the superintendent she was moving the furniture by request, but R.O. had given no such instruction. The police investigated every moving company and storage warehouse in New York City. Private detectives were brought in. There was absolutely no trace of the furniture or the maid. Instead of continuing to focus on the external search, R.O. remembered my teaching and decided to focus entirely on her inner world. Here is her exact account. While seated in my hotel room, I closed my eyes and imagined myself in my own apartment, sitting in my favorite chair and surrounded by all of my personal furnishings. I looked across the living room at the piano, on which I kept pictures of my children. I would continue to stare at my piano until the entire room became vividly real to me. I could see my children's pictures and actually feel the upholstery of the chair in which, in my imagination, I sat at it. She focused entirely on herself, on her inner vision, her inner feeling of being surrounded by her belongings. The next day, as she left her bank, she absent-mindedly walked toward her vacant apartment instead of toward her hotel. When she realized her mistake and was about to turn back, her attention was drawn to a familiar pair of ankles. It was her maid, not because she tried to manipulate external circumstances, but because she focused entirely on her internal state. The external world had no choice but to conform to her internal assumption. This is law. This is how creation works. Now let me give you the practical method for focusing on yourself, instead of wasting your precious life on external concerns. First, become aware of when your attention drifts outward. Throughout the day, catch yourself whenever you find your attention focused on what others are doing, what you wish would change externally, problems you cannot directly solve, other people's opinions or behaviors, external circumstances beyond your immediate control. Second, the attention redirect. Each time you catch your attention drifting to external concerns, ask yourself, how do I want to feel right now? What kind of person do I want to be in this moment? Then gently redirect your attention to assuming that feeling, to embodying that identity, to living from that state. If you catch yourself worrying about money, redirect to feeling financially secure. If you catch yourself frustrated with someone's behavior, redirect to feeling peaceful and understanding. Third, the evening review. Each night before sleep, review your day not based on what happened externally, but based on how well you maintained your focus on your inner state. Ask yourself, how much of my attention did I give to external concerns today? How much did I invest in my inner development? This review helps you become more conscious of where you place your attention and gradually trains you to focus more on yourself and less on external dramas. The daily declaration, each morning declare, today I focus on my inner world. I am not concerned with what others do, say, or think. I am concerned only with who I am becoming and what I am assuming to be true about myself. If you're ready to master this completely, I have something special for you. Comment Reset below to receive the Manifest Reset Guide, 5 specific techniques for maintaining your focus on your inner world, even when external circumstances try to pull your attention away. Reset 1 helps you stop forcing feelings and allows natural assumption. Reset 2 shows you how to build inner confidence without external validation. Reset 3 about letting go without giving up has helped thousands maintain their inner focus despite outer chaos. These aren't theories, but practical shifts you can use immediately when you feel your attention scattering to external concerns. What I'm about to tell you may disturb you, but it is necessary for your liberation. The person who seeks happiness, validation, or fulfillment from external sources must die. You cannot transform into someone who creates their reality while simultaneously remaining someone who depends on others to change their reality. These are two completely different arrangements of consciousness, and you cannot serve both. the person who constantly checks what others are doing, who measures their worth by external achievements, who feels victimized by circumstances, that person is living in a state of consciousness that guarantees powerlessness. To focus on yourself means to kill this external seeking self and birth the self that creates from within. This death is not physical, but it is real. It is the death of old thought patterns, old emotional reactions, old ways of interpreting your experience. When someone criticizes you, the old self would focus on their criticism and try to defend or change their opinion. The new self focuses on maintaining your own inner state of worth and confidence. When circumstances seem difficult, the old self would focus on the circumstances and try to force them to change. The new self focuses on assuming the state you desire and allowing circumstances to conform. This transition requires courage because you must stop depending on external feedback to tell you how you're doing. You must develop what I call internal validation, the ability to know your worth, your power, your progress, based purely on your inner experience, not external confirmation. But here is the miraculous truth. The moment you stop needing external validation begins flowing to you naturally. When you stop chasing approval, people naturally approve of you. When you stop demanding love, love surrounds you. When you stop forcing circumstances, circumstances support you. This is the paradox of creation. You receive what you no longer desperately need. Now I want you to speak with me. These are not mere words, they are the installation of your new identity. Say these statements aloud with absolute conviction. I do not seek, I create. Say it again. I do not seek, I create. I do not depend, I determine. I do not depend, I determine. I do not react, I assume. I do not react, I assume. I do not wait for change, I am the change. I do not wait for change, I am the change. My inner world creates my outer world, and I tend my inner garden with absolute focus. My inner world creates my outer world, and I tend my inner garden with absolute focus. Feel these words reshaping your consciousness. You are no longer the person who waits for external change. You are the one who creates change from within. You are no longer the person who seeks validation from others. You are the one who validates your own worth through focused self-development. You are no longer the person who reacts to circumstances. You are the one who assumes the state you desire and watches circumstances conform. One final declaration, say this with your entire being. I focus on myself without apology. My attention is my power, and I direct it inward to create my desires. I am the operant power in my world, and I waste no more precious moments on external concerns. Feel this truth in your bones. Let it become the foundation of your new way of being. For those who are serious about mastering this principle completely, let me share something that will accelerate your transformation. The biggest challenge most people face when learning to focus on themselves is what I call attention drift, the unconscious habit of letting your focus scatter back to external concerns. You might start the day determined to focus on your inner world, but by noon you're worried about what your boss thinks, frustrated with traffic, upset about the news, or anxious about someone else's choices. This is where the manifest reset becomes invaluable. Reset 4 specifically addresses doubt and delay me nothing, helping you maintain your inner focus even when external circumstances seem to contradict your desires. Reset 5, return to the axis, shows you how to quickly recenter yourself when you realize your attention has drifted to external concerns. These aren't just concepts, but practical tools you can use throughout the day to maintain the focused consciousness that creates your desires. Comment reset below if you haven't already to receive all 5 resets. These will help you master everything I've shared without the struggle that comes from trying to force your attention to stay focused. Here is the ultimate test of whether you have truly learned to focus on yourself. Can you maintain your inner state regardless of external circumstances? Can you feel prosperous when your bank account says otherwise? Can you feel love when others are criticizing you? Can you feel successful when external results haven't yet appeared? If you can do this, if you can maintain your chosen inner state independent of external feedback, then you have learned the secret of creation. Most people make their inner state dependent on their external circumstances. They feel good when things go well and feel bad when things go poorly. This keeps them trapped in a reactive cycle, always at the mercy of external conditions. But when you focus on yourself, you reverse this pattern. You make your external circumstances dependent on your inner state. You feel the way you choose to feel, assume the state you desire to embody, and then watch your external world reorganize to match your internal assumptions. This is what I mean by stop wasting your precious life. Every moment spent making your inner state dependent on external circumstances is a moment wasted. Your life is too precious, too brief, too magnificent to waste on being a victim of external conditions. You are here to create, not to react. You are here to determine your experience, not to be determined by it. When you truly commit to focusing on yourself, to withdrawing your attention from external drama and investing it in your inner development, something magnificent happens. You discover that you are not separate from the creative power of the universe. You are that power, individualized and focused through your consciousness. Every desire that arises within you is this creative power, seeking expression through your imagination. When you focus on yourself, you align with this power instead of scattering it across external concerns. Your life becomes a constant flow of manifestation because you're no longer blocking your creative force with attention to what you don't want. People will notice the change in you immediately. They will sense a different quality in your presence, a sense of inner authority, inner peace, inner purpose that doesn't depend on external validation. Opportunities will begin appearing because you're no longer vibrating the frequency of someone who needs opportunities. You're vibrating the frequency of someone who naturally attracts them. Relationships will transform because you're no longer seeking from others what you're now giving to yourself. This is the promise. Focus on yourself, and everything you've been seeking externally will begin flowing to you naturally. But let me leave you with the deepest truth I have discovered in over 40 years of teaching these principles. The reason most people resist focusing on themselves is not because they don't understand the technique. It's because they're terrified of discovering their own creative power. As long as you focus on external circumstances, you can pretend you're not responsible for your experience. You can blame, complain, and remain a victim. But when you focus on yourself, when you truly grasp that your inner world creates your outer world, you can no longer pretend you're powerless. You must take full responsibility for everything in your experience, and that terrifies most people. Yet this is also what liberates you. The moment you accept full responsibility for your experience is the moment you claim full power to change it. Remember, your attention is your life force. Where you place it determines what grows in your experience. Stop wasting your precious life on external concerns. Focus on yourself, on your inner assumptions, your inner feelings, your inner state, and watch your world transform to match your inner conviction. You are not here to be a victim of circumstances. You are here to be a creator of circumstances. Focus on yourself. Create your world. Live your power. The time for external seeking is over. The age of inner creation has begun. Comment below and tell me, what external concern are you ready to stop wasting your precious life energy on? What inner state are you ready to focus on instead? Your commitment to inner focus becomes your first step toward absolute creative freedom. But what I haven't told you yet, when I first learned this principle, I was taught by a man who knew I was coming 6 months before I ever met him. This mysterious Ethiopian rabbi showed me that most people fail at inner focus because they're unconsciously protecting the very consciousness that creates their poverty. His fine self technique transformed a man facing discrimination into someone earning $250,000 a year. This isn't gentle self-help. This is psychological surgery. Until you find the poor self and transform it, all the inner focus in the world will only rearrange furniture in the same house of limitations. The video appearing on your screen now. Neville Goddard's guru reveals how to manifest riches from nothing. Reveals Abdullah's exact method. Watch it immediately to discover what true self-focus really means.